What is the role of the Clean Energy Finance Corporation, and how do you think the government's funding cuts will affect the solar industry?
So my understanding of the role of the Clean Energy Finance Corporation is basically they provide funding for wind farm operations, if you like, and what they determine as small-scale solar. Now, small-scale solar has a big parameter, so it's not just what we put on homes domestically. It may be, for example, that we're quoting for a winery at the moment that needs 100 kilowatts of solar. Now, when we're talking about household, we generally work up to 5 kilowatts of solar panels because the average use of a household is about 20 kilowatt hours a day, so we work up to 5 kilowatt hours. A 5 kilowatt system, which in the big scheme of things is under $10,000. So when you're talking 100 kilowatt systems, we're talking at least 10 times that. So you're talking $100,000 plus. Now, for an organisation such as a winery or some other large commercial operation, then is looking for someone to fund that, they would then turn to the clean energy finance sector for funding arrangements or a loan to basically install that system.
So why do you think the government is making these cuts?
So what's happening currently is that, and if we were to discuss the political side of it a little bit, the federal government has a huge interest in maintaining coal and coal mining, basically because the budgetary requirements on the income from coal in the way of royalties is huge, and they don't want to lose that because, as you know, we're probably in a black hole, so to speak, and pardon the pun, when it comes to budgetary needs. So coal, while it's there, what they want to sell it, and they also want to use it. So it's in their interest to keep flying the coal flag.
What do you think of Tony Abbott's position on renewable energy?
Unfortunately, the Prime Minister, I guess, has got a negative view about clean energy. So basically what he's saying is that he's trying to find reasons to black flag clean energy. So where, if you were the Prime Minister or a politician, would you then reach to find more ammunition to denigrate that type of power? And I guess if on the periphery of government we have a clean energy finance type corporation which is legislated, its operations are basically have been put into law, you would then say, okay, let's attack them. Now, they're unattackable because they have got legal parameters and legislated parameters in which they can work.
And what impact do you think that has had on the solar industry?
What it's done is that it's raised doubts about solar in the media, and some media sectors, be News Corp if you like, would jump on this because they are a little bit right rather than left in terms of the way they think about the market, the world. So they would then jump on those comments and say, oh, it's going to affect the solar industry. Well, not directly, it's not. It's not going to affect our business in any shape or form. Because when people buy from us, they enjoy the benefits of what we call an STC. And that is not funded by the government in any shape or form. When someone buys a solar system for their house, they basically there are small scale certificates created which are then marketed to larger polluters. So whatever Uncle Tony's raving on about at the moment has absolutely no effect whatsoever on what we're doing or organisations our size.
What do you think the government aims to gain from this move?
What he's suggesting to them is that they look a little bit, they put a wide-angle lens on their financial binoculars. So currently their parameters are wind power and it's not small-scale solar, it's large-scale solar. So what they want them to do is look at new and emerging technologies. So what he's saying is that their parameters should not be limited to just wind power and small-scale solar, but embrace new and emerging technologies. Now that's good, that's great, but for News Corp to then jump all over that and say, oh, it's going to threaten the use of solar systems on houses, that is absolute bullshit.
So what's the biggest threat to the solar industry?
The greatest threat to our industry, and I guess the greatest threat to the oil industry and every other industry, is innovation. So currently, if we look at putting a 5 kilowatt system on a house and for less than $10,000, within 3 to 5 years, that will be $10,000 will buy a complete hybrid system. So you'll have solar panels, battery backup, 240. You'll still be connected to the grid. The grid will provide you with energy on days like this because the sun is at its worst, and for emergency purposes. So you'll still be paying $1 something a day for the privilege of being connected to the grid, but your reliance on power from the grid will be greatly depreciated, and so the cost will come down. So, and there'll be far more players in the game. So the greatest threat, I guess, is corporations such as AGL, Origin Energy, and the such like, getting on that bandwagon and saying, mate, we're going to solarise your house for you with a hybrid system. We'll provide all the equipment, goes on your roof, goes on your house. You just pay a quarterly bill, which will show a reduction in the cost of your energy use because you've been hybridised, and a small electricity bill because we're selling you the power as well.
So how popular is solar in the Central West?
I think the answer to that is driving around looking at roofs, which when you're in our industry you tend to do that. So I've just been to Orange, and all the new suburbs in Orange are fair game for the solar industry. And I think the uptake is quite high where the consumer sees it as an affordable option. So people who own their own home or are buying a home and or building a home, solar is an absolute option. So if you can more than halve your electricity bill by having the thing on the house and the payback period is less than 5 years, 3 to 5 year payback period, great. You know, it's a no-brainer. And if you look at the return on investment, you would, and I often say to consumers that we're putting a proposal to, you show me a hole I can throw $5,000 in or $10,000 in that's going to give me a 15% return. Thanks, giving you 3 if you're lucky. So they go, oh yeah, wow. That's based on the savings. What you would not be paying to Origin or Essential Energy or AGL or whoever is going back into your pocket via the solar system.
Do you think solar power is the future?
Out in the sky is a nuclear reactor. Yep, it's sitting out there, it turns up every day and gives us power. We choose not to harvest it. We sit back and dig coal out of the ground and pollute the atmosphere on behalf of the, you know, everyone that wants to enjoy all the financial benefits of selling it. So I'm thinking, you know, the longer this goes on, the more CO2 we're going to have in the atmosphere, but the more we use solar, the less impact we're going to have on the environment, and the sunlight is free.
Why do you think Australia hasn't changed to more renewable energy as our main source of power, as countries like Norway have?
This power station in the sky can do many things, but you can't wind down an energy industry overnight, nor can you wind down the coal industry overnight because of the value of the exports. So it's a long-term proposition for the government, if they're interested.